Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're making this amazing little baby boy cardigan. This cardigan is appropriate for 6 to 12 months. I will leave the final measurements at the end of my video. The cardigan is worked from top down and the yoke is round and really simple to make. What I've used as far as stitches was single crochets, half double crochets, and double crochets, and a puff stitch. So without further ado, let's begin. We're going to start with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 54. 3, 4, for row 2, we are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and into the third stitch or third chain from the hook. So this is number 1, 2, and 3. You never count the one on the hook, so it's all these little V's. So 1, 2, so into the third chain, we're going to half double crochet. We're going to half double crochet 2 more times, and then we're going to do increase, which is 2 half double crochets into that same chain. You're going to half double crochet into the next 3 stitches, and then again 2 half double crochets into the same chain. So this is the sequence for this row number 1. 3 double crochets, so 1 in each 3 chains, and then increase, which is 2 half double crochets into that same chain. So continue this till the end of the row. At the end of the row, you're going to end up with 2 half double crochets, now put the stitch marker on that stitch and count your stitches, and I'll do the same. So I have 67 half double crochets, which means on our next row we're going to have to add 1 more. We need an even number of stitches, so I'm aiming for 68. So chain 2, flip your work and start your single crochet or half double crochets all the way till the end of the row, and somewhere in the middle of your work. It doesn't have to be precisely in the middle, but just kind of eyeball it. And if you want to count it. I'm going to put my stitch marker in one of these stitches and do my increase here. So half double crochets till the end of the row. Into the marked stitch we're going to do increase, which is 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. I'm at the end of the row almost, my last half double crochet, and the very last one here, this is our turning chain. We are going to add light blue color to our work, so do not finish that half double crochet. Get your light blue yarn and finish your half double crochet with the blue yarn. You will chain 3 and turn your work. So we will not work into this stitch. We're going to do our first double crochet into the next one. So double crochet in this stitch. Now the fun begins. So yarn over, and you're going to be working around this stitch that you just made, like this. So we're going to do puff stitch with 3 yarn overs. So this is 1, 2 and 3. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on the hook. Pull through all 7, yarn over, skip the next stitch and into the next one, do double crochet. Again, yarn over 1, 2 and 3, 7 loops on the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yarn over, pull through all 7. Yarn over, skip 1, go to the next one, double crochet. 1, 2 and 3, pull through all 7 loops, yarn over and go to the next stitch to make your double crochet. So that's the sequence for this row. I'm going to go back and fix this because it bothers me, but continue with these until almost the end of the row and I'll meet you there. We'll switch the yarns again. So the last stitch, we're going to skip this one and the last stitch will go into the top of chain 3. Chain 1 and you will cut the yarn. I always prefer to weave in my end so I can work over it the next round around. Continue. We need to bring this white yarn up again. So I am going to start at the top of chain 3. And when you look at those chains, you will see that this is chain 1, chain 2, and this is your chain 3. So in and then grab that white yarn and pull through like so. Now make sure this is not too tight. This cannot be loose like this either because there's going to be an excess hard to cover with our finishing touches, but pull the yarn up just to accommodate the height of your work so far. So hold that with your thumb. Chain 2. Turn your work. Now we're going to do another stitch into that very first double crochet and then 1 half double crochet into the actual puff stitch. For the remainder of our work, we're going to do increase in every space between the 2 clusters and then 1 stitch into the puff stitch, then 2 between the 2 clusters or the puff stitches, so 1, 2, and then 1 into the puff stitch. So this is the sequence for this row. Yes, there's going to be a lot of stitches, and that's because we are not increasing in every row. So what we did was the very first row we did increases, then no increases, no increases, and now we need to make up for those rows. So in this row it's going to be 1 half double crochet into the puff stitch, 2 half double crochets between the puff stitches. So at the end of this row I ended up with 98 stitches. So this is my last increase between the 2 puff stitches, and now 1 more stitch will go into the top of chain 3. And so you can now adjust your stitches if you don't have even number of stitches, because that's what we need for the row of puff stitches, which will be after another row of white yarn. So count your stitches. If you don't have an even number, you need to adjust it somewhere in the middle of your work, like we did for row 2. So now you will turn around, chain 2, turn around, and then start your half double crochets. This is just a row of half double crochets. So at the end of the row, this is my last stitch here. So 1 half double crochet into that stitch, and then 1 more half double crochet into the top of chain 2. So before I finish my half double crochet, I'm going to bring the blue yarn again into the game and finish my half double crochet. Leave yourself a little bit of a tail so you can weave in that end. So chain 3, turn your work. You will skip this first stitch, go to the next one, do your double crochet, and then now do your puffs. 1, 2, and 3. Chain or yarn over, skip 1, go to the next one, double crochet, puff stitch, yarn over, skip 1, go to the next one. So finish this row and then we will continue together like so. I'm at the end of the row, so we will skip this stitch and do our last double crochet into the top of chain 2. Okay, you will chain 1 and cut your yarn. Okay, for the next row we need to bring the white yarn up again like so. I'm gonna go from the back, pull that yarn through, adjust tension, like so. And now I will chain 2, 1 and 2. So after chaining 2, you will do your first stitch into this little V right here. Right here. That's your first half double crochet, and this is the second. And you will do it one more time and one more time. So what we have now is the chain 2, first, second, third, and fourth half double crochet. And now we're gonna do our increase, 2 half double crochets. The sequence will be 1, 2, 3 half double crochets, then between the 2 clusters increase. Again, 1, 2, 3 half double crochets, and then increase between the 2 puff stitches. So in the beginning here we did chain 3 and then 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches for our increase. So we're gonna do this here as well. So this is my last increase between the 2 puff stitches, and now I will do, oops, okay, 1, 2, 3. This is our last little V, so that's our stitch number 4. And then last one will be into the top of chain 3. Alrighty. So this is what we have so far. So I am going to do one more row of just half double crochets. Make sure that you have an even number, and then I'll meet you then. So I got 122 stitches, and I'm going to now bring my blue yarn again. Chain 3, turn my work, and skip this stitch, go to the next one, do my double crochet and start my puff. 2, 3, so on, skip one, go to the next one, double crochet, do your puff and continue sew until the end of the row. At the end of the row, we're going to skip this stitch and do our last double crochet into the top of chain 2. Chain 1, cut the yarn. So let's bring that white yarn up again into that top of chain 3. We will chain 2. So our first half double crochet will be here. So that's 3, 4, and 5. So 5 stitches including the chain 2, and then here we're going to do our first increase, 2 half double crochets between the 2 puffs. Now we're going to do increase every 8 puffs, so 2, 4, 6, 8. You can place stitch marker if that's easier for you. The increase will be here, then 2, 4, 6, 8, increase, and so on. Seven, and now this is our 8th one, so we're going to do increase between the 2 puffs. I'm going to mark this stitch so I can count easier. So again, we're going to do 2, 4, 6, 8, and our increase will be here. So after finishing this first row of half double crochets, I ended up with 131 stitch. I need a pair or even number, so I'm going to increase by 1 and get to 132 stitches. So let me get this a bit closer for you. So this is what we're working on now. I have 131 stitch. I need to add 1 more for a total of 132. And then we're gonna divide for sleeves back and front. So I'm gonna have 20 stitches on each side of the front, 26 for each sleeve, and 40 for the back. Currently 39, but I'm gonna add 1 more stitch. So this is what our division will look like. And I did count my stitches. So I counted 20 stitches from the front, from the start, and I marked 21st stitch. Then including that stitch that belongs to my sleeve, I also counted 26 stitches, and into the 26th I put my stitch marker. So I have 26 stitches including the 2 markers, and then only 20 stitches not including the marked stitch for the front. For the back I have 39 stitches. I will add 1 more stitch somewhere in the middle of my back. Just eyeball it, maybe like that. Then I marked 20 stitches from the beginning and marked the 21st stitch. Counting that marked stitch, I counted 26 stitches and marked the 26th stitch. So that's what we got. So we chained 2, turn your work, and start your half double crochets until you reach the first marker. So in this marked stitch, put half double crochet, chain 1, go to the next stitch marker, yarn over into that marked stitch, half double crochet. I'm at my next sleeve opening, so in this marked stitch put half double crochet, chain 1, go to the next stitch marker, yarn over into that marked stitch, half double crochet. Now you will continue and finish your 20 half double crochets for the front. So you will now chain 3. We are not switching the colors, or I am not switching the colors, but if you prefer to switch colors, now no problem. I'm going to do puffs in white for now. So do your first double crochet and then your puffs. Skip one, go to the next one. Just repeat what we did so far for the yoke of our cardigan. I'm at the sleeve opening, so these are my last 2 stitches. So skip one into the next one. I will do my double crochet and puff. And now in this space here, I will do double crochet and a puff. So we are adding an extra puff stitch under the armpit. Now skip this one, this is your stitch, this one, and then go to the next one, double crochet and continue with puff stitch until we get to the next arm opening. I'm at the other sleeve opening, so this is my last cluster. So now I'm gonna skip this stitch and then do double crochet in this one and do that extra, no, this is still not the extra one, 3, now we're gonna go in here and do an extra double crochet, cluster or puff. So after the extra puff, we're going to start here, do our first double crochet, and then continue as usual with our puffs until the end of the row, and make sure that we have the same number of puff stitches on this side as we do on this side. So this is our extra puff stitch we added. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and a chain 3. So we need to have 10 puffs here. This is the extra one. So starting from this one, this is our number 1. We have to have 10 here. I'm at the end of the row. We're going to skip this last stitch and do our double crochet or half double crochet. No, this is double crochet row in the top of chain 2. Now chain 2, and we're going to repeat these rows until we get desired length of our cardigan. So right now we are at approximately 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches. I'm looking for 10 to 11 inches length. So that's basically what we have here. So we would need 4 more times of sets of 3. So the set would be a row of double crochet and 2 half double crochets. That's 1 row or 1 set. 2, 3. We would need 4, but let's do 2, and then we're going to start using the blue yarn. In doing so, you will still have to break the yarn when necessary. So for example, my first 2 rows worked well because, or 3 rows worked well because my little puffs are slanting this way. Now I have another 2 rows of half double crochets, and if I continue working where I am, I would have to turn, but my puff stitches would be looking this way or slanting this way. So I'm gonna put the yarn on hold and grab another skein of the same yarn and start my puffs here. So you will start at the top of chain 2. So these are your chains 1 and 2. So I'm going to start my yarn right here. Chain 3. And as usual, skip this first stitch and go to the next one. You may want to grab that yarn in the back and also weave it in as you go. Double crochet and then start your puff stitches. So at the end of the row, I'm going to skip this stitch and then go into my very last stitch and do double crochet. So count your puff stitches. I have 43 puff stitches going from front to back, from to end. I have 43 puff stitches here. So now I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work and start my half double crochets, 2 rows. Into the third row, when I get to double crochet puff stitches, I will switch the color to blue. So first let's do the 2 rows of half double crochets, all with the same white yarn. So at the end of this row, I will chain 1 and cut, or not cut my yarn, but I will just put a stitch marker in my yarn, and I am now going to start my blue yarn from the other side. And you will chain 3. We will skip this stitch and go to the next one and start our puffs. Double crochet. At the end of the row, you will do your double crochet, and now we're going to switch our yarn to white again. You can chain 1 here and cut your yarn. So after this row, so we're going to do 2 rows of half double crochets, 1 row puffs, 2 rows half double crochet, 1 row puffs, and then we'll check our length again. So I ended my cardigan with the row of puff stitches, and to get from the end of the yoke, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sets of 3 rows, and my last row will be single crochets all the way from the start to beginning of the bottom of my cardigan. So we will chain 1, turn your work, and start with the very first single crochet and continue on as we did with half double crochets, only this time with single crochet. So each stitch will have 1 until you reach the end all the way around and finish here. I also will weave in all my ends, and then I can continue with finishing the fronts. For our finishing touches, we're going to start at the bottom of the front panel, and the general rule is we're going to chain 1 and I'm going to make single crochet into that same stitch. Now we have a series of double crochets and then 2 rows of half double crochets. In each double crochet end, we're going to put 2 single crochets. In each of the 2 rows, we're going to spread 3 single crochets into these 2 rows of half double crochet. So there's going to be 2 here, 3 here, 2 here, 3 here, and so on. So we're going to do our, well, this is the single crochet actually row, so we are going to single crochet one more time and then one more time. Now we've come to 2 rows of half double crochets. I'm going to put 1 stitch here, 1 stitch in the middle of them, and then 1 stitch here. So that's 3 single crochets into these 2 rows. Now we're going to do 1 for double crochet and another one for that double crochet stitch, and then 3 here. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to continue this pattern until the neckline. At the end of the row, so this is my first stitch into the half double crochet. I'm going to put 1 more here and then 1 more into that single crochet row right here. So now I'm going to count my stitches so that I can make sure that I have the same number of stitches on the other front. I have 41 stitch. I will chain 1 and turn my work and do 1 row of single crochet all the way to the bottom. For the boy, buttons are on the right side, so we don't have to worry about buttonholes here. We already have 2 rows of single crochets. 1 was to pick up the stitches. This is our second row, and what we need is 3 more rows. Well, let's do 2 more rows. So 1 more this way, and we're going to end here. At the end of the row, 4th row, chain 1 and cut your yarn. And then we're going to start our next panel. This time we're going to start from the neck side. So grab that very first stitch. Sometimes it's pretty tight. If you need to use a darning needle to widen the stitch, that's fine too. Now keeping in mind that we need to have the same number of stitches that we had on this side. My count was 41. So into that very first space I'm gonna start my single crochets. So 1 and then 1 into this space here, 1 more here, so that's going to be 2 for my half double crochet. Then it's going to be 1 into the double crochet and 1 more into that double crochet. Then I'm going to do 1 stitch into this one and 2 stitches into this stitch. So continue until the end of the row. So 1 here. So we're kind of working the opposite pattern. So again, 3 spread out between the 2 half double crochet rows and then 2 single crochets for each double crochet row. So I got my 38 stitches. This is my 39 and 40, and the last stitch will go into this single crochet I made. So that's my 41. We will chain 1 and we're going to go 1 more row in the opposite direction. So 41 single crochets repeated. Okay, now it's time to create our buttonholes. So I found 2 buttons that I like, just plain buttons. They are, just see, they are 3/4 of an inch in diameter or 2 centimeters. And you will need 4 stitch markers. So this is what we have here. So this is I just put my yarn on the stitch marker here. So this is my first stitch. I'm going to skip that stitch and put stitch marker into very next one. Okay, so this is your first stitch, this is your second stitch. We put the stitch marker into that second one. I will now skip 2 stitches, so this one, and put my stitch marker into the next stitch. So I also want my second buttonhole to be somewhere approximately where the armhole opening is, just slightly above. So say if my button is here, let's count from the stitch marker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Mark that 10th stitch and leave 2 stitches open, and then put the stitch marker into the stitch next to it. Alright, so we skipped the very top one, put the stitch marker into the next one, skipped 2 stitches, put the stitch marker into the third one, then between the 2 buttonholes, not counting the stitch marked stitches, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Into the 10th one we put the stitch marker, we skipped 2 stitches, and into the third one we put the stitch marker. Alright, so now we can chain 1, chain 1, turn your work and do your first single crochet, and do single crochet into that first marked stitch. Oops. So single crochet into that first stitch, and then single crochet into the stitch marked stitch. Now you will chain 2, and you will single crochet into this stitch marked stitch. At this point we need to make sure that our button can freely go through our buttonholes, and mine does. If you prefer bigger buttons, obviously you would add more chains in between the 2 single crochets. Now we're going to do single crochet until our next marked stitch, so 2 and 9, so those are the ones we left between the 2 stitch the buttonholes. Now take your stitch marker out, do 1 more single crochet in that space, chain 2, remove this stitch marker, and single crochet into that space. And now we're going to continue with single crochets till the end of the row. Turn, and then I will meet you just before the buttonhole we just made to show you what to do next. So go all the way down and then come back up to here. I'm just about at the buttonhole, which is right here, so I got 2 more single crochets to do, 1 and 2. Into this space you will do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then continue with single crochets. So this is 1, 2, I'm at the next buttonhole, so I'm going to single crochet into this single crochet. Into the buttonhole space I will do 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet at the end of the buttonhole, and into my last single crochet. So we created 2 neat buttonholes. So at the end of the row I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to make 1 slip stitch, 2, 3, and 4. That's for 4 rows of single crochet. Into the next stitch I will single crochet and chain 1. We will now do a series of half double crochet into the chains from the very first row. So 1, 2. So now we're going to make a decrease. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the first stitch, then yarn over, insert my hook into the second stitch, go through first 2, and then go through the rest of the stitches. So another 4 half double crochets. So 1 and 4, and another increase or decrease. So 1 and 2, go through the first 2 and then through the rest of the stitches. And you're going to repeat this until the end of the neckline. So I'm almost at the end of the row. This is my last decrease. I will have 1 half double crochet, and I will do 1 single crochet, and then I will do 1, 2, 3, and 4 slip stitches. So now let's look at our neckline and see how we like it now. Yeah, that did bring the neckline in a little bit. I quite like it there. All right, so to continue, we are going to chain 1, and now I'm gonna single crochet all the way to the bottom. At the end of the row, I'm gonna slip stitch into my last stitch, then chain 1 and turn my work. Go to the next slip stitch and do 3 more slip stitches, and now continue with slip stitches all the way around the neckline until you get to the other end, and I'll help you figure out the corner. At the end of the neckline, my last stitch, I will chain 1 and start my slip stitches down this way. Do so till the end of the front panel. At the end of the front panel, you will do last slip stitch, chain 1, single crochet into the same stitch, and into the next stitch, and into the next stitch. So there will be 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and now you will continue with single crochets all the way around the bottom of the cardigan. Make sure, again, very important, that your stitches are relaxed. I'm at the under corner almost. I will do my 1, 2, 3, 4, and my 5th single crochet. I will chain 1, turn my work into that same stitch, single crochet, grab the tail, and do your single crochets all the way to the neckline. At the end of the row, this is my last single crochet. I will slip stitch into the very first stitch I can find. And you can now cut your yarn, leave yourself decent tail. We're going to have to hide this yarn. To start the sleeve, you look at the under armpit area, and these are the 2 chains that we added, and that resulted in 1 extra puff stitch. So we're gonna start our yarn right here, and now we have 1 row of half double crochets here, which means we have to start with a half double crochet, which will make our 2nd row. So grab that yarn and chain 2. We're gonna start doing our half double crochets right here in this space here, which is one of the 2 rows of our half double crochets. So a half double crochet here and here. Now we're going to continue doing half double crochets all the way to the other end, and then I'll show you how to close the round. So I got 28 stitches, and now these are the 1 more row of half double crochets, and then 1 extra here where the extra puff stitch was added. So this is my 29 and this is 30. So I have 30 stitches. I will now slip stitch to the top of chain 2. For every row around, when we come to the double crochet puff stitch row, we're gonna have to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And now turn your work. We're gonna be working from the inside of the sleeve so that all of our puff stitches are facing the same way. You will yarn over and then wrap around this stitch 3 times. Hold those stitches with your fingers and pull through. You will now skip 1 to the next stitch, double crochet, and start wrapping as usual to create your puff stitch. So do this all the way around and I'll meet you at the end. At the end of the row almost, and I have 3 stitches remaining, 1, 2, and 3. I will skip 1 and do my last puff. And this is my 15th puff. So double check, we have 30 stitches, we should have 15 puffs. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 15. Only with this row of puffs we will chain 1 and slip stitch to the very first puff stitch. You're always looking at that V at the top of the stitch. So this is right here. And slip stitch. You will chain 2 and turn your work again. For the next 2 rows, you're going to be working from the right side. So this little stitch will be the stitch here. So I am going to skip this one and go to the next one, do my first half double crochet, and continue with 2 half double crochet stitches per each puff until the end of the row. At the end of the row, you should have 30 half double crochets. At the end of the row, you will slip stitch to the top of chain 2. Chain 2 and repeat 1 half double crochet per each stitch around with a 30 half double crochet stitches till the end of the round, and then I'll show you again how to close the round and turn your work to do puff stitches. (29) and 30 stitches. I will slip stitch to the top of chain 2, chain 3, and turn my work. Again, yarn over, hold it with your index finger and start wrapping once, twice, and 3 times. Pull through, yarn over, skip 1 and go to the next one and continue with your puff stitches. So for the sleeve, I did. So from the armpit area, this is where we started. Our first row was half double crochets, which is this row here. So do as many, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white color puff stitches rows and plus 2 rows of half double crochets, and then we'll finish the sleeve together. I got my 5 puff stitches row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 additional rows of half double crochets. I will now switch my yarn to blue and do my last row of puffs. So I'm gonna slip stitch to the top of chain 2, bring my blue yarn and finish the slip stitch with the blue yarn. You will chain 3 and turn your work and do your first puff. And 3. Just tighten everything. I will skip this stitch, go to the next one and continue with my puffs, also making sure that I have 15 puffs at the end of the row. At the end of the row, I will slip stitch into that puff stitch, chain 1 and turn my work. I'm still attached to my white yarn. And so into that same stitch, put your first single crochet. Mark the stitch, might be easier to find it at the end of the row, like so. And now we're gonna do 2 single crochets together. So insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up the yarn, insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up that yarn. Once you have 3 loops on the hook, pull through all 3 of them. The next stitch will be regular single crochet and then your decrease. So 1 and 2, then just regular single crochet and then decrease. So we're gonna do this till the end of this row. You can now cut the white yarn and I will slip stitch into my first single crochet, like so, chain 1 and cut the blue yarn. So this, when you start your white yarn, make sure that it's in the underarm area. So chain 1 and single crochet into that same stitch. Again, if you need to, you may want to mark that stitch, and now single crochet all the way around until you reach the end of the sleeve. At the end of the row, you will slip stitch to the first single crochet, chain 1 and pull your yarn. Let's sew our buttons. So these are our buttonholes and they are 2 single crochet stitches wide right here. So what I'm going to do is take my darning needle and put it at the bottom of my buttonhole right here, and then look underneath, which is right here. So my buttonhole should be 2 stitches wide, and I usually use contrasting yarn to thread through so that I know where they will go. So that's one button, and then we will repeat this for the other one. So again, so my button holes are not obviously as wide as these two stitches, so I am going to start my yarn into the stitch right below the blue marking, right here, and get it through my button and start attaching my button. You can remove the blue yarn and weave in this end, which shouldn't be too challenging because single crochets are pretty dense and you can hide the yarn easily. One button done, and we're going to repeat that for the other button. That is the end of our beautiful cardigan. The cardigan is appropriate for 6 to 12 months old baby. My final measurements are 29 centimeters of length, or 11, slightly over 11 inches. Chest is 10 inches across, slightly over, or 26 centimeters. I enjoyed making this tutorial with you. If you have any questions or unclarities about the pattern, leave me a comment down below. I will list the materials I used in this project below in the description box. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video tutorial. And until our next project together, stay well, everyone.